I really hope, even although, as you've noticed, we've tried to pack in a huge amount into our relatively short time today, and that includes your opportunity to share your views. Nonetheless, I do see enormous amounts of writing around the tables, so I'm presuming that everybody who had something to say has at least written it somewhere. If you've still got something burning in your mind and you haven't written it anywhere, I suggest before you leave, sneakily writing it down on a table. But it looks like that was pretty fruitful. I'm just going to sum up a little bit from my own observations walking around. I think it's interesting to note that some people see, you can find the same things on the must-haves as the would-likes. And I wonder if that's some people being a bit cynical about what we can have and putting it in a would-like because they think it's unlikely. The other thing to spot is that on the must-haves and the will-stops, we're thinking more about the status quo, how it is now, and what we must keep and what we can get rid of. And there's more creative thinking that's happened in the would-likes and the think differentlys, or do differentlys. I noticed as well that it took a long time and a lot of visits to a lot of tables before finally came across listen to parents. It was finally over there, written in the last session. And that was in a think differently. And I would suggest that listen to parents should be in the must-haves. And it should have been the first thing that everybody wrote on almost every table. Interestingly, also on the think differently, there was another one which is professionals talking to each other a bit more, saying we need to understand each other's roles. That's something I've heard in very many councils, that councils are such a complex beast that it's often not clear who knows what, and actually just understanding each other's roles better is incredibly valuable, especially when it comes to integration. You can get a long way with integration just by learning what each other do. But some of the must-haves, mental health awareness and understanding, that seems pretty clear, and of course the research all backs that up very strongly, that that's something that we'd need. Perhaps organisations like Time to Change could help there. Must-have parental or parenting education delivered at antenatal services. Information sharing between professionals, that seems a given and something that everybody's been calling for a long time. Peer-to-peer or parent-to-parent support, these are all must-haves. Family support workers and children's centres, which reflects, of course, the value of services that are currently being delivered. And whatever happens in the future, I don't think anybody's denigrating what does happen there. In terms of will stops, stop assuming services mean professionals in buildings. In other words, think differently about the whole service delivery model. Will stop short-term funding of projects. Hands up if you agree with that one. Okay. There's a very famous quote by an anthropologist. Anthropologists do ethnography. Don't worry about what they do, really. He wrote a very famous quote about areas that are marginalised, and he said, marginalised areas are littered with the debris of failed social projects, and you all know what that means: empty buildings, empty youth centres, empty projects, things that had short-term funding and turn into derelict buildings. Must stop top-down thinking, unless the person at the top is brilliant, of course. In the would-likes, where things got a little bit more creative, will stop hospital ultrasounds, presumably, whoever wrote that, presumably in favour of delivering this at home. Yeah. And I've just completed a very big project with a very big German surgical company, and their next 10-year planning is all about mobile healthcare delivery. They're almost forgetting about hospitals completely. And they're talking about major surgery, so ultrasound is certainly possible. Alongside that kind of thinking, the idea of birth registrations being done in children's centres so that people are instantly introduced to children's services. Those both fall into the category of completely new thinking around existing services, I think. Would like universal antenatal services that are easy to access. Would like centres of excellence and best practice. Would like a change in language and labels, so stop labelling parents things like vulnerable, and I could add to that troubled or priority. These are all families at risk was the old term. It's always the same cohort, just the name changes. I would say that there was a universal theme coming up across a lot of it, which was about access, both in terms of who can access what, but also in terms of literal access. And again, this is a big theme that a lot of technology companies are working on. And somebody had written on one of the tables just modern phones, which I presume was an allusion to digital technologies and how they might transform access and information sharing. In terms of thinking differently, thinking about multi-skilled professionals who don't need to pass the buck because they can deal with decisions. And along with that, somebody wrote devolved decision-making to different professionals rather than having just one lead professional. On the devolution theme, there was also the idea of devolved spending powers, so community budgets, from over on that table. So that's just a flavour. There was so much more. I couldn't have captured it all and I couldn't have summed it up. I'd love to chair a discussion and get all these things out, but this is as much time as we have and I know you all want to go home. So I'm going to leave the final word to Councillor Caborn. Thank you all very much for coming.
It falls to me to say thank you very much for coming and contributing. I felt there's been a great buzz in the room today and a very constructive buzz that leaves me certainly well reassured we can move forward and get where we all want to be. Just a couple of things about what's going to happen. All the information that Robin has just referred to is going to be collated, so please preserve the tablecloths and so we can take them back and put it all together. Everything that's come out of today, we will amend the strategy and send it to you all again for final approval. And all the papers, as has been said, will go on the website. The strategy, if you've seen it today, I am taking to Cabinet at the county on Monday, where I'm certain it will go through, and that means we have some formal endorsement in the county that this is the way forward, and it will continue, and we'll continue to work with all our partners to move this forward. Book your diaries. We'll be back again, probably not here, but somewhere next year to report back again, because you know, the great involvement we've had from everyone to get us to where we are vital and determined that will continue so we can get continual feedback. And as Jerry said at the outset, this is a live document. This is not do it today and go away. We've got to keep it live and keep it going. And, you know, if you have any further thoughts, smartstart@warwickshire.gov.uk. For anything when you get home tonight you think about you've missed or you haven't said and we need, please send it in, and all your comments. That's a permanently live feed that you can use. And just to refer to what John said, it's not going to be an easy ride forward. I am convinced we can do it. I'm convinced we can achieve it. So thank you all very much for coming, for your attendance and your contributions. Thank you very much, and thanks to all our presenters and to Sophie, Helen and Monica actually put it together for us today, because it's been a great event. Thanks very much.